5 minutes from the Senate side of the U.S. Capitol, which is a big plus. Anyway, we're glad to have this nice relationship with the Middle East Institute, and tomorrow with the CSIS, we're doing jointly a very interesting session. Two of our good friends from Kazakhstan, both of whom we've had long-term relationship with, admire very much and respect very highly. In fact, we've published them. They will be speaking, and it will be at CSIS at 1. Is it at 1? Where's Mamuka? Mamuka's in chocolate cake. Is it 1 tomorrow?
1.
Yes, 1 o'clock CSIS. It'll be a very interesting session. Now, today, one of the pleasantest tasks of the year is the presentation of each new group of fellows who are here on the Rumsfeld Fellowship Program, which was started now 11 years ago by the Central Asia-Caucasus Institute and the Rumsfeld Foundation. And this has been a very, very happy relationship, and now we have groups twice a year coming, 10 to 12 people each time. The total number of alumni is 230. And we will be sending out a notice very soon of not an official program yet, but a hold the date announcement about our annual conference, the CAMCA conference. This was started by alumni of this fellowship program because they wanted to meet with one another after they'd completed their work on the program. And they started holding a reunion. And some of them would speak, or they'd invite people to speak. And after doing this for a few years, they realized that they were producing very interesting conference. And so now, 3 years ago, 2 years, however you count, 2.5 years ago, this was opened up in a meeting in Baku, and they invented the title CAMCA. Knowing that you can't, it's not Googleable yet. It is Googleable. It is Googleable. Yeah. CAMCA means Central Asia, Mongolia, Caucasus as a group, and Afghanistan. This is a greater Central Asia, if you will. And this CAMCA conference is held annually, and it's become, certainly after last summer's conference in Tashkent, it is the premier, it's the kind of Davos conference for Central Asia, the Caucasus, Afghanistan, and Mongolia. Mongolia, by the way, sounds like a surprising entry. It isn't, it turns out, because aside from historic links, and for that matter, ethnic links, there's a keen interest in Mongolia's side to reach out to the west, to Central Asia, as they have for many years reached out to the east, because here they are between two superpowers, and therefore they've been very active in this front, and just recently opened up direct flights from Ulaanbaatar to Almaty, and they exist to Kyrgyzstan as well. So something happening there, and so they've been included. Afghanistan goes without saying. Afghanistan has for 3,000 years been part of Central Asia, and all the countries in the region acknowledge that. The only people who don't are outsiders, including the U.S. government, but that's another story. Well, here we are with this autumn's group of Rumsfeld Fellows. My job is simply to introduce, I don't know whom.
The entire group.
The entire, well, but who is going to start?
I'll start.
Okay, you're on.
I can introduce myself.
This proves that we have absolutely no control over what follows.
Dr. Sir, thank you very much. It is a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak. First of all, prior to taking a deep dive into the presentation, I would like to extend on behalf of the group, I'd like to extend our sincere gratitude to Rumsfeld Foundation, to the Central Asia-Caucasus Institute, and the American Foreign Policy Council generally, for the immense effort that went into putting together our 6-week intense program. And thanks to the program where we all have the opportunity to meet and present what we have in mind, and also for giving us fellows from 10 different countries an opportunity to connect with each other. And connectivity is something that I believe is what we all can relate to. Ultimately, having said that, connectivity is also something that's been at the forefront of our countries for centuries, really. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. Guilty for that. My name is Shukrat Mirzoyev. I come from Tajikistan, and I'm an economist. I run a consulting business at the moment, and I'm part of this wonderful group of fellows that we have here in the room today. Unfortunately, the recent history of our countries shows that economic connectivity within the region has been hampered by economic disturbances, political instability, and security threats as well. And yet, we strongly believe that now is the time to revive the old Silk Road routes and really focus on what we've done really good for centuries, that is trade. Despite the fact that the CAMCA region is small in comparison to the rest of the world, and that will be obvious in a minute, we strongly feel that there are significant trade and connectivity opportunities that we can build on and that we can explore further. This also means that we can no longer afford ourselves to rely on the so-called traditional trading partners that all our countries share, like Russia, Iran, Turkey, China, and a few other countries. Not only because these economies have effectively become more volatile due to a number of different events in the past 15-20 years, but also because there are very obvious and basic merits of regional cooperation and diversification of our economies as well. And that means, in addition to being outward-oriented, it is also important for us to be inward-oriented as a CAMCA region and trade more with each other. So going into the presentation itself, it is important to, again, highlight the fact that the region itself is very small. In 2018, all 10 CAMCA countries accounted for only about 1% of total global output and 1.3% of the world's population. So that's not a lot, obviously, but that does not shy us away from exploring opportunities and comparative advantages that we have. Total trade overall in 2018 has comprised about just over $10 billion, and that has been an increase by more than 7 times, 7-fold increase since 2000 in the past 19-20 years. I won't stop on all these points because obviously others, other fellow colleagues would like to speak, but it's important to also highlight the fact that we have at least 4 countries who are major oil and gas producing countries, and that's going to be important in a minute when I'll present the overview chart. And also the composition of our experts in some of the smaller countries in the CAMCA region, like Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, have only marginally changed since 2000, and that's very important because obviously that means that what we used to export 19, 20, 25 years ago is more or less the same than what we are currently trading with the rest of the world and within the CAMCA region. We're going further into just showing the overall trends as far as the CAMCA region, as far as our 10 countries, the Caucasus, so the Greater Central Asia, including Mongolia and Afghanistan. It is very important to, and it's fairly obvious from the chart, that we have 2 points of contraction of our sort of overall economies as a CAMCA region. And those contraction points have come at a time when the global economy was suffering quite significantly. I'll just highlight what those are. The first contraction in 2008 and 2007, that corresponds to the global financial crisis that has affected our countries quite significantly and had a dip on our production. And the second one was starting in 2014. 2014 was also the time when the oil prices have dropped for the second time quite significantly. And in addition to this, we've also had the conflict between Russia and Ukraine that started in 2014, and that has also, as Russia is still remains one of our largest trading partners, it has affected us quite significantly and negatively. Population-wise, I'd just like to highlight two very quick and important points. The first one on population, going forward, say by 2030 or 2050, there will be significantly more consumers in countries like Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and Mongolia who have the highest population growth rates. So that's important as far as trade, as far as reaching out to markets. And secondly, and alarmingly, there are two countries in the CAMCA region, at least two, which recorded negative growth rates of population in the past 19-20 years, and will continue to do so in the foreseeable future. And those are Armenia and Georgia, obviously, due to a number of varying reasons, such as migration, brain drain, lower birth rates, and conflicts as well. I won't stop on currency, but basically that's an important factor as well as far as having your goods, one country's goods and services competitive in comparison to others. But the overall trade structure sort of highlights who are the biggest, what are the biggest countries in terms of gains and losses. So for instance, the share of the Turkmenistan in total trades contracted from 7% to 2% in the past 19 years, since 2000. So that's significant, and that's obviously due to a number of political reasons as well, and the protectionist policies that have been imposed. But the biggest gainers are Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, and Armenia, who have increased their share and who have remained dominant as far as the trading partners. The total trade, we can come back to this during the Q&A session, perhaps, because this is a little bit, this merits further discussion, but just to highlight that there are still in the CAMCA region at least a few countries who don't trade each other at all, like, for example, Azerbaijan and Armenia, Mongolia and Tajikistan, and a few others. And that's obviously something that's very important going forward, and that we can improve. And finally, on import and export, and that's obviously imports of goods and services by to the CAMCA region from the rest of the world, and then exports to the rest of the world. And it's important to note in these charts that the share of services in total exports and imports have grown, particularly as far as exports are concerned. And that's very significant because there are increasingly, in countries like Kazakhstan, Georgia, Uzbekistan, who are investing heavily in R&D and are attracting private investment, foreign direct investments as well. It is important to note that they have significantly increased their share of services in total exports, and that's also something that we need to keep in mind. I'm mindful of the time, so I'm going to pass the microphone to my colleague, Sardor, who will discuss trade barriers and some of the trade products more in greater detail.
Thank you very, very much. I hope these can be made available on both the Central Asia-Caucasus Institute sites and on the CAMCA sites, and maybe the full text if you have it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll be
Fascinating material. Thank you.
Is there anyone related to the trade? Can you raise your hand, please, with the trade? Okay.
They're all buyers.
Buyers. Very good. Before talking to causes and barriers, we're going to go slightly deep. What are the actually categories that the CAMCA region is exporting? We made an analysis of 3 top products of the 2 year, 2010 and 2018. What's impressively is 8 years ago, oil and gas was more than 75% of all top 3 exports of the region. But now, if we compare, it's only 35%. There are the 2 reasons. First is oil prices are going down. Second thing is other categories, export categories, started to rising. For example, one of the good contributors of the export is Mongolia. They are exporting cashmere and wool, and also the jewelries from the Kyrgyzstan, and also cotton. Cotton, mainly 2 major countries are contributing to the world from our regions, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. And I'm proud to be that I have a small influence to this because of my grandfather. In Uzbekistan, we have American type of a cotton, and some years ago, my grandfather went to America buy these seeds, bring it to Uzbekistan, and they, after that, started to producing this. And we have this type of American cotton, and its exports as well. And also another significantly export was done on the gold. Gold rose more than 10 times, and currently Uzbekistan for last year exported for $18 billion, and it's the top 10 gold exporters in the world. Next, please. While making trade, we have a lot of barriers, impediments, and we try to divide into two parts. It's a policy level and enterprise level. And the policy level is customs and trade regime, infrastructure, regulations, governance, and the trade finance. Because we are 10 countries, and it's really complicated because every region has its own barriers in terms of customs, certifications, the tariffs, and the poor logistics, infrastructure development. And also we have corruption, unfortunately, on the custom, on some taxation parts. And also trade financing. Most of the companies, they don't have access or easy access to the trade. There are lack of the money. And we have also another issue on the enterprise level, because most of the companies, they're not sure their product will be competitive in the market, and that they don't have so much data in which market to sell. And that this is also one issue. Another thing is by a trust issue. We have a lot of cases that the companies sold to another country and still they did not get their money, or the products had the issues. And now, you know, world is changing and transforming from the classic trade to the e-commerce, and still in CAMCA region, e-commerce is on just the beginning stage. Overall, we would expect that e-commerce is less than 1% in CAMCA region, while in the US it's 12%. And also we have another issues on just the language, lack of trading. Human capital is also one of the issues. We don't have so much experts on the cross-border trade, international trade. And we have also our recommendations. Next. Yes, on the recommendations part, we also divided into two parts, the policy and the enterprise level. One of the issues that we have an issue on the logistics, because region is big, and still we have to develop the aviation and the railways. For example, if you get to Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, we have a lack of these wagons, trail wagons. Another thing is can be closely cooperation with Chamber of Commerce's, different business associations, different alliances, business clubs, etc. Because this gives you to verify your partners. You know who to sell. Because these associations, these chambers know with whom they are working, and they are okay to give more information if you want to know this. Another recommendation is maybe possibly creating a CAMCA logistics hub, because one of the issues that the tariffs are high, we don't have so much logistics, transportation, and etc. To be more competitive, it can be one of options is creating the logistic hubs. And another thing is signing multilateral trade agreements that can easy cross-border trade within the CAMCA and plus exporting. And one of the unique points that for the whole of the CAMCA region is we can at least triple, 4 or 5 times bigger, because our products are more competitive in our region, intra-regional trade, rather than selling our products to US, China, or Europe and compete with the global brands. Thank you.
The brand, I switched to designing and established a jewelry brand which is inspired by Oriental ornaments, national heritage. So every piece that I design, it has its story. I start doing researches, and whenever you start doing researches on your country, you see that your country is part of the greater culture. So this is me, like, to start doing researches on cultures and heritage of our region, and I design jewelry that tells a story, was a link to symbols or history.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, what we had as an asset, and we went through serious brainstorming to see what is the potential that the CAMCA fellows have. Now, what we have already, we have the network of the senior professionals. We have the regional expertise. We have the skill set, and more than 10 languages are spoken in the region. Local markets inside are our strongest side. We have access to the high level of the respective governments and policymakers. And this is the asset that we have today. How can we capitalize on it? Where is the microphone? It's okay. I think I can be loud enough. Okay. So how can we capitalize? How can we use these assets in order to bring some solid results and in order to become the player that is listened to and can participate in the policy, participate and provide the decision makers with the solid advice? Now, what we do not have. We do not have the solid legal structure. We do not have the platform where all these ideas can come together and be realized. What is the proposal that comes from the fellows? And we brainstormed for the last 4 weeks what is possible to do. Now, probably this is not a novelty, and you have heard it from the number of presenters. But we are the doers, and we decided to propose to come forward with the CAMCA Business Council. What is CAMCA Business Council and how it will facilitate the intra-regional and international trade? Now, again, going back to the assets we have the network of very serious professionals of the region, and we know the region very well. We know the region much better, and no competition, but than McKinsey and other institutions who are very seriously providing very serious researches. They are coming back and they're addressing us. What can we offer as the service? The CAMCA Business Council can transform itself into the investment facilitation platform. The trade within the CAMCAs, the contributor to the public policy making. The business, we all received the Economic Intelligence Unit and Stratfor reports. We can provide the reports like this because we are the professionals and we know our markets very well, and we receive the information firsthand even before these guys are receiving it. So we have the professional skills. We are already as the network. We are already as a network quite a solid institution. So once we have a solid platform that can put together all these skills, and create and become a platform for the business facilitation, I think. And this is what we have discussed with our fellows, it could be a bigger opportunity so that we at our level, bottom up, will provide the governments with the advice and opportunities, as well as the companies that participate in this business calls with the opportunities to learn about each other, and at the same time help the American companies to learn about the region and the potential of the region, and help the local companies to find the investment partners in the West. So with this, I will finish my presentation. We also have the Q&A, and we have our 12 fellows with a lot of knowledge of the region, and we'll look forward to the questions. Thank you very much.
The idea of actually doing this, and you have an opportunity in Almaty this summer to bring everyone together and actually constitute it. Maybe a lot of the work could be done ahead.
That's what we'd like to do.
I shouldn't have said a word. Okay, the floor is open, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe other fellows can introduce themselves.
Yes.
The speaker who just spoke, introduce herself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was so excited what I was supposed to say, I forgot. Okay. My name is Nona Mamulashvili. I am from Georgia. Currently, I am the president of the Georgian Swiss Business Association, and I'm also the chairperson of the Caucasus Economic Policy Institute, which is a think tank in Georgia. Oh, me one, anyone.
Okay, others. The rest of you who haven't spoken, please introduce yourselves.
Birbek Asangari from Kyrgyz Republic, and I'm an entrepreneur.
In what area?
Hospitality and manufacturing industries.
I'm Ruslan from Kazakhstan. I run IT business.
What kind?
It's, it's usually e-government and smart city projects.
I'm from Armenia, and I am Chief Risk Officer for HSBC Bank Armenia there, and Deputy CEO.
Hi, I'm Iksul. I'm from Mongolia. I'm Chief Operating Officer of Mongolia Stock Exchange. So if anyone is interested about investment opportunities or business opportunities, I'd be happy to talk about.
Hello, my name is Mansai. I'm from Mongolia as well. I'm an entrepreneur in media publishing and IT, and I also own the biggest co-working space in Mongolia as well. So thank you.
And thanks to Zach, we have such a beautiful presentation.
Hello, I'm Dinara. I'm from Kazakhstan. I'm the chairwoman for Charity Foundation in Kazakhstan.
There. The floor is now open to comments, questions, or amplifications from